The reality is, men shouldn't be attacking women. That's your solution. That's the self-defense, it's just not to attack. The problem is, until all men agree not to attack women, women are gonna have violence. They're gonna experience violence. They'll continue to experience violence, and they have the right to learn self-defense. Not necessarily the responsibility, but the right, the opportunity, and we're here to help that cause. The success of Women Empowered, this program, is not measured by the number of fights that have been engaged in and won. The success is determined, is calculated by the number of fights that have been avoided. Now that hand's gonna cup your whole fist with that other hand, grab it over the top. Yeah, now pry your elbow towards her. Try it out.
Yes. Yes.
Get away, Crystal. Yes. And I go like this. Really good, really strong. Excellent. You know, like, it's not realistic. So what do you remember? If I pull, you pull. I'm Henry Gracie, a third-generation member of the legendary Gracie family of Jiu-Jitsu.
And I'm Eve Torres Gracie, his wife, and also co-creator of the Women Empowered program. I started Jiu-Jitsu because I was actually recommended by my now sister-in-law. She was a good friend of mine, and she said, hey, come try Jiu-Jitsu class. And I had actually been traveling for work by myself, so I would travel on the road, and I was traveling by myself often, and I felt compromised and I felt unsafe many, many times. So at my first jiu-jitsu class, I happened to meet him. So I basically met jiu-jitsu and my husband on the same day. And arguably, I fell in love with jiu-jitsu first.
Hey, she didn't say that till right now. Regardless, she signed up for life. Yes. And here we are today. You know, she was an incredible student early on, very dedicated, incredibly focused, and she just absorbed the material so quickly that quickly she became an instructor, assistant instructor with me. Us teaching together and Eve kind of taking the lead when we taught women was actually much more effective. Women were much more receptive to learning from another woman than they were from learning from my brothers or my father or myself. So we had taught women self-defense before I met Eve, but it never really took a life of its own until she came in, gave her own spin on it, and really started affecting these women in a positive way.
I always say, what would Beyonce do? And she would just like get out. Generally the question I was asking myself.
What about us? That was the biggest challenge for us prior to Eve's involvement in the Gracie Academy and us teaching women self-defense, was that it was a program being taught to women by men. And no matter how much we wanted to help these women, it doesn't matter how good our intentions were, our psychology separated us from the students, and that gap was tangible, and as a result it never flourished because women were learning from a different species essentially when it comes to self-defense, the past and the history each woman brings to the mat. When I mount on her, watch what she does. Look, now as she's managing the distance from here, trap the arm, trap the foot, and then we'll look, same exact technique you guys learned, punch block variation of the trap and roll.
And I think it's also important to understand that self-defense, the way self-defense has been approached for many years, I think is very outdated. And I think women deserve something better. And I think for a lot of self-defense programs, they focus solely on these aggressive tactics, and also tactics that would require some sort of athleticism or strength or physical power. And one of the facts that we just know as women is that men are physically stronger than us. So we have to rely on something other than physical strength or power and athleticism to defeat them. And that's where jiu-jitsu becomes the most effective form of self-defense for women, because jiu-jitsu is based in all leverage, timing, technique. So all of these techniques, literally anyone in the world can do them. And they can be effective against larger opponents. And that's why jiu-jitsu is so important for women to learn when it comes to self-defense.
And he went like this, faking like he was gonna walk away, and he went and just lunged at me. I didn't freak out. I've been here, and we practice that exact same scenario all the time. So instead of me like freezing or like backing up, I tucked my purse underneath my wrist and I was and he was not ready for that, and so mid-strike, you guys, I saw his face go from like to and he stopped. It stopped just from from that posture and me doing that, and he grabbed some leaves and he threw them on me. But that was it. That could have gone way left if I had not known what I learned here, and it literally saved me. So it paid for itself within weeks. So this program is awesome.
When women are seeking self-defense, often it's because they either feel like they lack some confidence in themselves and in their lives, or it's because they have experienced violence in the past. And statistically, we know that chances are 1 in 4 women have experienced violence, of sexual assault, abuse, domestic violence. So we have so many women who come in to our program and into self-defense in general, looking for some sense of healing and looking to kind of get past this trauma that has happened in their lives, and how self-defense really helps them do that. And knowing that so many women who step foot on the mat and who step foot into self-defense and into jiu-jitsu have this past, it's really important that we address that in terms of how we teach our program and what kind of information we're offering them and what tools we're offering these women.
My name is Bryn Aiken, and I am 17 years old. When I started it, I did not really understand the fundamentals of martial arts even beforehand. When I did a lot of martial arts, I felt like this really elevated my knowledge on this subject, and it's something that I can use within any given situation.
Angle you and drag you back into isolation. She hangs her weight. Watch what she does. She turns and then she puts him down. I'm okay, don't worry.
Not only that, but we also know that women who experience violence, chances are, statistically speaking, that they have experienced violence by someone that they know. And knowing this, if we are focused on teaching women only aggressive tactics, and again, these can be effective in certain types of situations, but imagine eye gouges, groin shots, palm strikes to the face. These can all be effective in certain types of situations. But if this is your husband that you have to defend yourself against, or a boss, or a coworker, then you may not think to resort to those types of techniques on the moment. And that's what's so beautiful about jiu-jitsu, is that it has this violent scalability factor.
Throw, different technique, cross block and go. If I'm on everything's different, right? Based on the grip, there's so many variations. So that's, again, the concept though is don't move him, move yourself. Just neutralization technique, someone grabs you, you can just escape and neutralize.
Right.
Or you can go all the way up to deadly force techniques, which jiu-jitsu also provides. And it's taught in a condensed format so that women who don't have that much time can learn it in a very short, easy, and efficient format. Every day, the concern is, what if we get taken down and trapped underneath another man who's much stronger? That's why I do jiu-jitsu. It's for the 400-pound muscle head who I end up underneath. I got to be able to escape underneath him just as much as any one of you. My arm is locked in. You got me. Now your foot's going to trap my foot. Your other foot stays in the middle. Excellent. And then without letting go of the arm, your hips are going to bridge straight up, slow to your knees. Get up to your knees. Unfortunately, we've had the unique privilege of working very closely with law enforcement over the last 30 years in America teaching jiu-jitsu here. And that's given us unique insight into the threat scenarios that women are targeted with. The specific police reports on these incidents we have access to, and we can see specifically how the attacks are taking place.
And here's the key. My head has to clear this arm. So I have to break eye contact with Henner at some point.
So it was a self-defense program. It was great techniques, but I think there needed to be kind of a woman's perspective in terms of understanding what women are thinking when they walk in to a self-defense class. What histories women bring with them when they come to a self-defense class and how to address those. And also the kind of components of self-defense that are not necessarily physical. And that is how the program has now expanded to be much more than just physical self-defense. It now includes boundary setting techniques and tactics. The goal for us is to have these women become so confident based on their physical techniques that they can now set boundaries with anyone they come in contact with, and they feel just more secure and more safe, kind of protecting their own personal space. So for the women who are not sure that this can actually be effective, that they can actually learn how to defend themselves, all I suggest is that you try one technique, one lesson, and what you are going to find is your body is capable of so much more than you ever imagined. And that was the epiphany that I had. The very first jiu-jitsu technique I learned, it's like my eyes were opened, and we can level the playing field. We want to invite you to join us on this journey. It changed my life, and I know it'll change yours.
As a random happening of events and a very special day, one of our students earned her pink belt recently, passed the test. Let's congratulate Bryn. Bryn, come on up. Let's give her a hand. Awesome. Bryn's been with us now for a long time, very dedicated, very helpful training partner. We couldn't be more proud of her. Congratulations. Awesome. Good job.